Alright, in this video, I wanted to show off the war, it's not really a war, but the quest reward at the end of the simulated war on the Blarney War. It's not really a war, donkey business. It's a pet. They're working on the armor, so if you did the quest now, I think you'd have to go back through and pick up the armor later. I don't know what the armor's going to do, but I do think, with the exception of the art, some people may think having a donkey as a pet's kind of stupid, which is understandable, but ultimately, this is the first pet with fragile on it, and it has 3 modes, so you basically have too many fucking clicks on the screen nowadays. You got a guest, a shield, weapons, the pets, the armor's dick. Sometimes you click the wrong thing. But donkey has 3 modes, so it's on normal level. It's just going to do damage. And then, so you have basically, it pays half pet damage and 77 SP to do the fragile. And then it does another mode which is more risky, so it's doing the SP and then 137 hit points. I need to relook at the info subs. I don't know if the third mode is still half damage. It doesn't really matter. The fragile scales with earth element because it's an earth pet. So what I'm going to do here is just simply show the capabilities. So at versus 100% earth, we have 2782 hit points, and it went down to 1800, so it was about 900 hit points. It took another like 400-ish off due to the burn and the bleed there. And then what you'll notice here is it'll actually, on the second round, it'll slightly increase the hit points because it changes the duration, and then it'll re-drop a little lower, I think is what's going to happen here. So we got 1096. Oh, just went a little bit lower. I really think that if there was ever an armor similar to like Infernal Champion or Legion Monster Lord, some of these armors that basically allow you to pay for something where your pets and guests inflict something. I think fragile would be great. I think an armor that would do both options, you could do either or both, panic and fragile for all your pets and guests, would be like the ultimate Beastmaster armor. But the amount of fragile will increase based on earth resistance. So in this case, this monster has 40%. Let me get into a different armor here. Alright, so in this case, we have the Frost Giant's got 6,100 hit points, 6,035. And then the donkey just dropped it to 57. It actually didn't inflict. Let's see here. Let's see if it'll inflict this time. It probably just resisted. 51. So it went from 51 to 2,500. We'll see what happens here. I probably didn't inflict. Endures the worst of the explosion. So basically, what you're getting is a massive reduction in hit points without the pet actually doing damage. You don't have to rely on like Elevons or Lucky Strikes. You just want to land it. So you probably just want to maybe have higher charisma, maybe better accuracy, stuff like that. And then on Solarities, that's when it acts up where on the second turn it'll actually slightly increase it and then it'll decrease it lower. But let me see if I can find another monster here. Alright, so we have 6100. Let's try to change Earth to something slightly different. See if we can get it. Okay, we'll just go with the 100 here. So I'm going to do Solarity via the Chronos Phoenix spell. Alright, so let's just see what we can get here. 3950, 3837. Let's see what we can drop to. 2100. As you'll see, oh, it's all the way down to 293. So basically 3k damage on a Solarity. So this donkey pet is like insane when you're talking about pet Solarity. So what you can do, so I'm going to predict that this monster will be dead just from this guy. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use the Werewolf Misk to give my pet Solarity. You could also use Tribal Shaman. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to increase its accuracy here with Arcane Amp. So you got accuracy boosts with all this, so it should land. Plus you have the charisma boost from the Misk. So the first thing I'm going to do, actually just to show it off, I'm going to do this. Just make sure I have enough resources here. I don't typically like hit point costs, but this is kind of insane. So I'm going to actually use my 2 turns to do this. And let's just see what the donkey does. 4,400 to 2,300. Down to 859. So basically, what, 3,500 damage? No, the fragile is only going to be for 1 turn. And if you notice what it just did right there, it increased it because it added it, changing the duration. But then at the end of the turn, it goes back down. Now there is a spell that makes this bonkers. Now I have heard that trying this with what's the armor that's in the void? It's like the I can't remember the name of the armor. I actually don't have it. I double checked. I never had a use for it. I never really liked it. It does fragile. Like it doesn't maximize any resists. I think it's got 4 resists at 45% or something. It'll come to me. But basically, this spell right here, Windswept Cursed Gaze, it does Windswept, which changes earth resistance to a max of 200, which since the endurance, the fragile scales, it'll actually scale, and you're going to notice going to get the maximum potential out of it. It just did 100 endurance in 1 turn. So I'm going to do this one more time and then call it a video. Let's see who comes up. Alright, so what I'm going to do, just to maximize my, make sure I land the spell. So I'm going to use Werewolf. So you actually don't need to rely on Optico in this instance for crazy damage. So basically we've got Pet Solarity for 2 rounds. So what I'm going to do here is just cast this guy. So we started off with, what, 6,800 hit points or something? And then down to 27, down to 683. So 6,800 to 683. So any non-boss, basically, you just mop the floor with them with this combo. Almost no matter who it is. So It's just something that is kind of overkill. Imagine if they had a guest version. So I really think that if there was an armor that had a skill, maybe somebody can do a donation armor idea where, like, on one of the modes it's full defensive and it has toggles as its ability, where it will just make the all pets and guests inflict panic, then it toggles to all pets and guests inflict fragile, and then it toggles to do both, and then you're basically mowing down its life via fragile, and then you are increasing your defense via pet and guest panic inflictions. And then, since most of those armors are either a transformation or unmount, you can go back to a full offensive mode, and maybe that mode, maybe it can eat panic. Its normal attack eats panic for more damage, and it's has a skill that will eat fragile, which will heal the monster, but maybe it eats fragile, but instead of for damage, which is a stupid idea because it kind of cancels itself out, maybe it's like maybe an MP heal or an SP heal, or both, or depends on the weapon type held or something like that. I think that would be a badass armor. Now that this donkey pet has come to light, I think this donkey pet's going to be in my inventory forever. I mean, with this Windswept spell, it's badass. And then you can use it with Bard of War for constant Solarity, or you just can use Tribal Shaman or the Werewolf Misk just to give the pet Solarity. And then you can use the spell to really increase that earth resistance. And it's just going to mow down hit points. I mean, it's just basically super cheesy. But that is it for this video.